I don't think I'd ever seen Tarzan and Jin before. I could be wrong, but I certainly couldn't remember it, and I was keen to check it out. This was released in 2002. It's directed by Steve Loter, Victor Cook, Steve Loter again, Don McKinnon, and Lisa Shepard. The reason I read Steve Loter's name twice there is because there are actually different segments within the film. And it's not a collection of short stories, but we do have several flashbacks. And I really don't like that as an approach to storytelling, but I'll talk more about that in a moment. We also have a great voice cast. We have Michael T. Weiss as Tarzan, Olivia Dabo as Jane. We also have Jim Cummings, April Winchell, Tara Strong. Great voice cast. Animation quality is beautiful. The music is quite good as well. The only thing I didn't care for, and it's kind of a big one, is the narrative. This takes place a year after when Tarzan and Jane got married, and it's basically about Jane trying to come up with a special way to celebrate, a special gift for Tarzan. Does she want to throw him a party? Does she want to get a material gift? And as she's talking with other characters to try and work out what this is, we have various flashbacks to things that have happened throughout the year. And I get the point. They're trying to show us what life has been like for Tarzan and Jane since they got married. I completely get the concept, but I just found it to be, it screamed to me, we have an idea for a premise, but we don't know how to flesh it out, so we're just going to fill it with several small stories of flashbacks of things that have happened before the time that this was set. And it just feels like they could have maybe spent a little bit more time working on the narrative and coming up with something a little bit more interesting that didn't quite as heavily rely on flashbacks and other little short stories. Not that there's anything wrong with the short stories themselves, but when I'm sitting down to enjoy a film, generally speaking, if I'm watching a feature film, I'm not in the mood to jump back and forth between all of these little different narratives. So for me, it didn't work very well. Some people might not mind. You might not care about that. It might work well for you, and if that's the case, obviously, that's really great. But personally, it just didn't work well for me, so I didn't really enjoy it. As I said, everything else was fine. Voice acting's fine, animation's fine, the music is lovely. It's not a tremendously long film, it's about 1 hour and 15 minutes. So in general, if you're curious, maybe it's worth checking out. You might like it more than I did, but personally, I can't say I loved it, and I definitely wouldn't be watching it again.